Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. A technical snag in Microsoft systems today led to the breakdown of processes in many airports, hospitals, supermarkets, even stock exchanges across the world. Now, this is being seen as the biggest technical outage that the world has seen in recent times. It was in many ways a day that reminded us of our increasing dependence on tech for very critical services and the need to build systems that can handle such snags and also have plan Bs, contingencies, faster workarounds for the future. In India, the outage caused widespread disruptions in flight operations, payment systems and trading, amongst other services. Flight delays were reported across airports, leading to long queues. In fact, the outage affected booking and check-in services for several airlines, including Indigo, Akasa Airlines and also SpiceJet. India's IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has responded to the global Microsoft outage, saying MeitY is continuously in touch with Microsoft, which in turn is actively working with the impacted entities. He has said, and I quote, "In addition, CERT-IN is coordinating with CISOs of critical infrastructure entities. All impacted entities are working to bring up their systems. In many cases, systems are partially up." This is what the IT Minister has posted just a short while ago. CISOs in his tweet stand for Chief Security Officers. In fact, passengers in many airports were left stranded or receiving handwritten boarding passes. Banks in India, unfortunately, have said that they remain largely unaffected, but some hospitals in many cities did report unprecedented delays in catering to patients with their own systems collapsing. This, of course, is a global situation as several international airlines remain grounded, and even London Stock Exchange faced serious service disruptions. Details are emerging and the full impact of the outage is not known yet. Microsoft has clarified that the underlying issue has been fixed, but some residual impact continues. The most visible fallout was, of course, on airports, and we'll get you voices from across the country. If you are one of the affected people, do call us on the numbers that are flashing on your screens. Komal from Bengaluru joins us. Thank you, Komal, for calling NDTV. Tell us, what was your experience today? Were you also one of the aggrieved people due to this Microsoft outage?
Hi, ma'am. Hello. So, what issue I am facing is I have to travel Bangalore to Patna, but I have booked my flight on Indigo, but I am not able to contact Indigo. Like, when is my flight? Like, it will be. Flight will be there or not. Actually my flight timing is tomorrow morning 5 a.m. but I am not getting any communication between to the Indigo. So I am very confused in what to do.
Right. Komal, did Indigo, did the airlines respond to you in any measure? Have they said anything to you? And did you know about, the unprecedented delay that you would have to face? Was there any kind of alerts that were sent to you by the airlines?
No, ma'am. I didn't get anything.
Okay.
No updates, no text, no messages.
Okay, thank you, Komal, for speaking to NDTV and also sharing your experiences. We also have Swaminathan Iyer from Thane joining us. Mr. Iyer, thank you so much for calling us on this broadcast. Tell us, what was your experience like?
Well, I just wanted to know, hello?
Yes, sir. Please go on.
I just wanted to know whether the Microsoft global outage affects the flight operations as such. Because we have been talking about boarding difficulties. But what about the flight operations, particularly the conversation with the control tower and exchange of data with the control tower? That is question number one. Okay. Question number two is, how has the trading platform managed this particular period where it was all in a big mess?
Okay. That's a very important question, Mr. Iyer. I promise I'll take this question to our expert who joins us in a few minutes from now. Also, is there anything else that you would want to share with us? Because clearly today was a reminder that we are excessively dependent on tech, but at the same time, probably we are not really equipped to handle snags like this.
In case of such difficulties.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Swaminathan Iyer, for speaking to NDTV. Let's also get you some voices from the airports, which is where the most visible impact of this outage was. Pratibha joins us from the Bengaluru airport, and Ghazali joins us from Delhi airport. To you first, Pratibha, tell us, you were the one who reported that, in fact, for things to get normal, it could actually it could actually take a few more hours. In fact, you were saying that, it could take up till midnight for things to become normal. Is there any change in that situation? We did see those chaotic situations, courtesy your camera, and you're reporting at the Bengaluru airport. What is the situation right now?
Well, there seems to be no end to the chaos here at Bengaluru airport. In fact, there were longer queues there. Like you mentioned, perhaps they are trying to assuage these passengers. Number one. Number two is most passengers have gone on to halt for the night and come back with rescheduled flights. And most of them have been complaining about how the rescheduled flights are extremely expensive if they have to rebook it, and they'll have to wait for the airlines to do something about it. A lot of inconvenience that has been caused because most of them have been provided refund but not rescheduling of flights. Some of the passengers who came to me were telling me that they need to get to their destinations on time. Either there is a tragedy in the family, or there is an emergency in the family, or they have to get to a work meeting tomorrow. These are some of the factors that have been put forth that has caused a lot of frustration, sir. Any kind of inconvenience that has been caused to you?
To Bombay today and it's got cancelled, so it might be rescheduled tomorrow. So we're just waiting for the confirmation, but right now they're not giving it. They might give it late night on. They have told to check on site. So if at all the site is up, then only we'll be able to get the confirmation. So we'll be waiting. Now we are checking in a hotel, and then we'll come out tomorrow morning or so.
Right. And most of them also seem to be complaining about how the hotel charges have increased in and around this area called Devanahalli, where the Bengaluru airport is lodged, and that is where you see a lot of hotels there. People aren't able to get bookings. Some of them were also complaining that there is a five-star restaurant in the premises that costs around 5,000 to 8,000 per night, and now the charges have increased to around 26,000 rupees. And you can see the scene here. All of them are sitting on chairs with bag and baggage here, trying to see when their flight will be rescheduled. And while the flight operations manager has been mentioning that it will take until midnight for things to get back to normal, there are some who say that 26 flights have been cancelled, over 90% belonging to Indigo, Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 witnessing similar scenes. Let me see if I can go across to another passenger. So the kind of inconvenience that is caused to you, and you seem to be lodging yourself right on the Terminal 1.
बोलो नहीं वो तो
कितना तकलीफ हो रही है आपको?
तकलीफ तो बहुत हो रही है कि कुछ मैसेज भी नहीं था इंडिगो की तरफ से कि फ्लाइट कैंसिल हुआ है कुछ भी, और अभी ये बारिश की सीजन के हिसाब से भी बहुत दिक्कत हुआ है. अभी मेरा होटल भी चेकआउट हो गया है. अभी कैसे पहुंचेंगे क्या है, अभी कुछ अभी अपडेट नहीं है.
आपको कहाँ पहुँचना है?
अभी हम 15 दिन से बाहर है. 15 दिन से अभी हम घर जाने के लिए वेटिंग कर रहे हैं, और 15 दिन से हम पूरा टूर साउथ का टूर करके पूरा करके अभी आए. अभी हमको रिसेंटली मालूम हुआ कि हमारा फ्लाइट कैंसिल है. अभी इधर आके हमने इंक्वायरी किया इंडिगो में, तो बोले पूरा सर्वर डाउन है, तो अभी कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते, तो आपको पूरा नाइट रुकना पड़ेगा. तो पूरा नाइट रुक के भी अभी उसका तो सर्वर कब चालू होगा हमको क्या पता चलेगा. तो अब कब तक उसका सर्वर चालू होगा, कब हमारा फ्लाइट रन करेगा. वो बोले कोई फ्लाइट अभी आ भी नहीं रहा है और जा भी नहीं रहा है, तो अब कोई आएगा नहीं जाएगा, तो अभी कहाँ हम जाएंगे. हमको तो यहीं वेट करना पड़ेगा, और क्या करेंगे.
So Terminal 1 seems to be their home for tonight, and that is the only solution that the flight authorities can offer. Food as well as water, they need to cater for themselves, and that is precisely why they have been extremely frustrated, not just with respect to the flight operations being disrupted, but also with the kind of service that has been provided to them, and that has been one of the major cause of concerns here. A lot of people who are stranded, not just at Terminal 1 but also Terminal 2. In fact, Bengaluru Airport has always had the reputation of having the maximum footfall and being one of the most valued airports, and this time around this is a completely contrasting picture that you see at Terminal 1 of Bengaluru Airport.
Right. Thank you, Pratibha, for getting us those excellent voices. To you, Ghazali. Now, Ghazali is reporting from the Delhi airport. Ghazali, you heard what people had to tell Pratibha. कोई भी message नहीं nahi aaya. That seems to be this one, common refrain amongst all passengers. So clearly, airlines have not been able to communicate the reasons for this delay, and also they've not been able to give a clear picture to passengers on why this unprecedented delay is taking place and when this could end. Tell us what is happening at the Delhi airport since morning. Our colleagues have also been reporting on how display boards also were disrupted. What kind of disruptions do you see now? Do you see the situation improving slightly?
Vasudha, the situation has improved, and I'll show you what was the impact since morning. So on my right, this is the machine or the kiosk through which you get the boarding pass. This was not functioning in the morning. This was not operational. The outage impact was on this machine. So a lot of people who come early and thinking that they can get their boarding pass hours before their flight, they were not able to get that. The second big impact was this display machine through which I'll ask my video journalist Pooja to show this, and you can see this entire display list of the airlines, their departure, their arrival, whether they've been cancelled or not. This board was not functional or operational in the morning, but it is now operational, and perhaps things are getting back to normal here, though the crowd is still there, and many people who waited since morning to get exact information were harried a lot, and they said that perhaps clear information was not intimated either by the airlines or by the airport authorities. But after the union minister's statement that perhaps more employees, more officials will be deployed here at the airport, we can see at every gate additional employees have been deployed to ensure a smooth transition, or say the smooth entry of the passengers into the terminal or inside the terminal. And through these visuals you can see that now people are getting in. Everything is being done electronically or by the machine. But earlier we saw the visuals at how people were getting the boarding pass with manual execution of that. But now things seem to be back on track. Despite all that outage of the Microsoft, of what we saw that desktop and laptops are not working with the Windows operating system, things appear to be getting back on track, though the crowd keeps getting, or the number of passengers keep swelling here by every minute. But it was much worse since morning once the outage was reported and once the systems were not working. So now perhaps things are back to normal. The electronic systems, the computer systems, the boarding pass kiosk, everything is working fine now, and that is why you can see that even people who are getting into the terminal now, who are going to get their boarding pass, they are making entry, though this is the number, the huge number of passengers are obviously here at Terminal 3, but since morning there were multiple flights which were cancelled as well, and this with this display board not working back then in early hours of the morning, perhaps that is why the passengers were not getting the accurate information, and they were getting onto the social media. Some of the passengers who were there since morning we spoke to, they confirmed that they were getting updates from the social media handle of the airlines as well as from the Delhi airport.
Right. Thank you, Ghazali, for those crucial details, and thank you, Pratibha, for joining us. Mohammad Ghazali also reporting some good news that situation seems to be changing. Situation seems to be improving now. Passengers are getting inside the Delhi airport, but clearly there is a lot of distress and uncertainty because flights have been cancelled. Flights had to be redirected also. Also joining us now is Kanish Gaur, CEO of Deep Tech Startup. Thank you so much, Mr. Gaur, for speaking to NDTV. One thing that experts have talked about all through today is technology resilience that prepares organizations to overcome challenges like what we saw today. Every time your technology stack is compromised, your servers get compromised, there needs to be a plan B. There needs to be something that possibly helps you recover faster in case of such urgencies, specifically when it deals with travel or essential services like health. How important is it to have safeguards against such snags, or is it even realistically possible? Because this happened with one third-party application that's associated with Microsoft. Do you think it's even possible for us to put all those tools in place?
See, it's very difficult to build up information systems which could be completely safeguarded. This happened in case of CrowdStrike having a Falcon sensor which became unresponsive on Microsoft systems. So all the systems where CrowdStrike was deployed stopped functioning, and their CEO came out and spoke about this disruption, and they were looking to resolve it. So most of the systems which were there on Microsoft stopped responding to it. What is required today is building a manual backup system in case major systems get impacted or there is a cyber attack. So how can you use manual techniques? Like today, it was the first time boarding passes were being issued manually. But do we have a process defined for it? For critical infrastructure? I don't think so that exists in India. That's why hospitals, airports, airlines, everyone was suffering. So it's very important that you build up a manual method when there is a kill switch. I will call it a kill switch because in case cyber attack happens or any kind of disruption happens, then there is a manual method of creating the processes to run. And this has to be planned with the National Disaster Management Authority in India, identifying what are the critical sectors. If they get impacted because of any kind of such scenario, how we can switch to other methods.
Right.
And there is obviously dependence on OEMs like CrowdStrike and like Microsoft, but definitely we will have to build out processes. Hence, invoking business continuity, which would have been done by CrowdStrike or by Microsoft. What is the business continuity operations we have set up for India to continue working to ensure that the GDP of the country doesn't get impacted?
Okay.
The businesses don't shut down. So I think that is something which is missing right now.
Mr. Garg, thank you so much for that understanding. Please stay with us. We'll ask you more questions. But first, let's also bring you more voices from the airports as to how people have been affected all through today.
Flight to Goa, and apparently it's been cancelled, but Indigo did not inform us by text or email at all. We've not received any form of intimation that the flight has been cancelled. Upon reaching here on trying to get into the airport, was told by the CISFS officials that the flight has been cancelled and that we need to go meet with the Indigo team over there. And Indigo has made no arrangements whatsoever. So they're saying that they have a pan-India system outage at the moment. And that is also why they were not able to send out any information through either SMS or an email. So I'm not really sure what the alternate arrangements are.
They have not said sent any sort of a message that flight got cancelled, and we just saw that the flight got cancelled, and we talked to them. They said that okay, the flight would be like a tomorrow, like a and then I told them that this is not possible because I do have like a connecting flight from like a Nagpur to like a US. I came over here for like a visa. My wife was appearing for visa.
There was no prior information, and I am aware there is a global Microsoft outage due to which lot of systems are impacted and affected. Even we are affected officially. So I thought I will reach airport early, and I have done check-in through DigiYatra. I came here and I came to know now that the flight is cancelled and they don't have a solution.
Going back to Mohammad Ghazali, who is at the Delhi airport reporting from there. Ghazali, more voices from the ground say that there is absolutely no communication from the airlines on the unprecedented delay that most of them seem to be facing. You reported that the situation is changing slightly. It is becoming better. Tell us what kind of approach do airlines and also airports have in this regard, because there has been a strict statement from the Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu asking airlines and airports to be deeply considerate, compassionate about needs of the passengers, and also send them out regular alerts on when when their flights could take off, and also when the situation could normalize.
See, in such situations, Vasudha, we had seen just last month that how after the airport roof collapse on Terminal 1, the same kind of assurances were given that passengers would be informed about it. And back then, the private airlines as well as the airport officials had come out on the street identifying the probable passengers and escorting them, giving them bus services, taking them to the hotels. But in this particular situation, when there was uncertainty that by when the system will be restored, perhaps that is why there was a lot of chaos. And not just at Terminal 3 from where we are reporting, but for the domestic airways on Terminal 1 and Terminal 2, perhaps there was more chaos because people over there were clueless about that what and when situation will perhaps improve. And back then, till the ministry spoke, there was no such alertness from the airlines or from the airport officials to sort of display the information, because all these display boards were not operational then. It had also got the heat of the outage. The outage impacted the operations of these display boards, and that is why there were far more confusion say 5 to 6 hours ago, once the outage impact was noticed on this airport and at different airports in India. So till then, after the minister spoke and gave a soundbite to the media, and perhaps the instructions were issued that the airport officials as well as the airline officials deployed their additional men. They are also sending out alerts through SMS. They're sharing information on the social media, but individually tracking or ensuring that every information is disseminated to the probable passengers, to the passengers who are waiting or those who have got their flights cancelled is still kind of a challenging task for them, because passengers did say that the flights were cancelled and they were not informed immediately. So banking operations were not impacted, but the operations here at the airport were certainly impacted, and passengers were not relayed the information in time, and that is why the passengers at Terminal 2, the ones who were boarding the domestic flights, had a lot of hassles here. Right now the situation seems to be quite better than what we were reporting earlier in the morning when our colleague Ishika was reporting from here, because this kiosk, this display boards, and even the entry was being done manually. So that all has been sorted by now, and passengers are coming in. I'll just show you through visuals. We should learn from visuals at how there was a huge gathering just a short while back when you came to me, and now you can see that the passengers are moving in smoothly. The entry is happening over there. The security guards are using the machines. The passengers are using this kiosk to get the boarding passes, and this was all not working 4 to 5 hours ago, and that is when there was utter chaos, and the airline and the airport officials had no clue that despite alerting the passengers about the possible cancellation of flights or how to give them the updates, because most of the passengers were also going to on the social media to check the updates, but even the airport officials were not aware that by when the system would be restored. And this is not just the airport, even in the hospitals where we were reporting that perhaps the system has been restored, the systems has not been restored, but partially the things are being done manually, and some systems in a particular organization, some systems have been impacted by the outage, some are working properly, but at the airports it was complete kind of collapse of the system after the Microsoft software outage.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ghazali. We'll keep coming back to you. It's a long night for you there at the Delhi airport. Pratibha, back to you. There are some very important details that Ghazali pointed out, handwritten boarding passes and how systems came collapsing. And now, every system has started working. But of course, there is going to be a lot of time before things become normal again. What is happening in Bengaluru? Because, we saw a lot of chaos around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Today again, the visuals say that there are people, hundreds of people waiting at the airports to get inside. At least in Delhi, people have started going inside. So clearly, what is the situation there?
Well, I wish I could actually present a similar scene like that, but unfortunately here, yes, the systems did collapse a couple of hours ago, and things seem to be status quo as far as Bengaluru airport is concerned. Now, if you think that the queues have not really run into greater lengths like what was witnessed before, that's mainly because most of them are either looking at alternate arrangements or have been given refunds or are looking to halt for the night in any of the nearby hotels and come back tomorrow again. Some of them have been complaining about how they want to rebook their flights, but then rebooking turns out to be extremely expensive. Some of them also complained that when they wanted to stay at a nearby hotel, most of the hotels had also, there was a surge in price when it came to hotel stays as well. So one can imagine the kind of frustration and the inconvenience that this disruption has caused. And well, all of them have gathered here, plonking themselves at Terminal 1 because they have nowhere to go, and the entire night is going to be spent at Terminal 1. क्या आप बता सकते हैं कि आपको कितनी परेशानी हुई है?
परेशानी तो आप देख सकते होंगे, करीब करीब मेरे ख्याल से 4-5 घंटे से हम यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं। अभी तक तो कोई अपडेट नहीं है। अभी रीशेड्यूल पे अभी बात चल रही है, देखते हैं क्या आगे वो बताते हैं। अदरवाइज़ तो हमें होटल करके अभी आज के दिन स्टे करना होगा मे बी।
Right. Well, that is the kind of inconvenience that has been already explained by most of the passengers here. We'll have to wait to see whether operations would resume. What has been promised by the authorities here is that it will take until midnight because of the cascading effect of the global outage. Back to you.
Thank you, Pratibha, for getting us the situation there. And also thank you, Ghazali. Long night for both of you there. And we'll keep tracking all those details. The center taking cognizance of the cyber outage has stated that it is in discussions with Microsoft to resolve the issue. Both Microsoft and CrowdStrike have ruled out claims of cyber attack and said that this outage took place due to some recent update received in the product. But what is important, however, is when on one hand we speak about how AI is transforming industries all over the globe, it's also important to boost existing systems, particularly those running our essential services such as travel and health with adequate security. That is probably the biggest takeaway from today's episode. The biggest global outage in recent times. We with our reporters are bringing the best alerts from the ground from airports across the country. Thank you for watching NDTV.